Hi, welcome back. Happy last day of Black History Month. And happy last day of the month filled with love. So, I think today I want to talk to you guys about something that I have been really being super intentional with, and I have been probably enjoying more than I ever thought that I would. And it is the soft life as a single girl, single woman. Let me just start by saying that I realize being single is not for everybody. And I realize that not everybody is happy being single. Some people so desperately want to find their person and want partnership. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I do think that it's just as important, especially as a woman, that you figure out what it is that you like about yourself and what you like to do for yourself, with yourself, by yourself, before you find yourself in a relationship. I've been the type of person, it's been a while, but I've been the type of person who had no clue what I liked, what I wanted, what I needed, what I didn't like, what I didn't want, what I didn't need. And then my identity is wrapped up in whoever I was with. And when that happens, you can physically start to see how draining and exhausting that becomes. You may not necessarily see it in the moment, but you look back, or maybe you look up one day and you realize you don't know who you are. You don't look like yourself. You don't feel like yourself. So, for me, being single is not, this is not a waiting room. Okay. I'm not looking to meet someone who's going to fund my life or lifestyle, because I'm already doing those things on my own without the help or the aid of somebody's son. Okay. Now, listen, again, if that is you and that's what works for you, there's absolutely no judgment here. I'm only speaking to the ones who are intentionally wanting or currently trying to create a soft life as a single woman or a single girl. So, I want to just start by saying that community is a big deal. Having a tight-knit group of girlfriends that you can socialize with, that you can talk to, that doesn't mean that you do a lot of trauma dumping and, man bashing and things like that. I've done that, but that's not what I mean. You want to have women that you can spend time with, that you can love on, and who can love you back. And you guys laugh and have fun. You eat good, you look good, you smell good, and I feel so blessed and fortunate that I have that group of friends. I have my girls, my sisters that I've known my whole life since I was a young teenager. And then I have other girls that I have really developed a sisterhood with just along the way. And when I think about how much fun we have together doing a lot of times nothing but fellowshipping, we eat, we laugh, we drink, we make videos, we take pictures, we talk shit, When I think about how much fun we have just doing that, just being girls, I can't imagine not having that. So one key component to that soft girl life is having your tribe, having your sisterhood, having your friendships. And that doesn't mean that you go out here and you find a group of baddies, a group of Instagram baddies. Those women are fine for some people, but even though I feel very blessed to have never found myself in spaces or in circles with women like that, I feel like I can look up and see when certain women have, and you can still kind of see and feel the emptiness and the loneliness that they experience. It's great that they're trying to find a solid friend group, and that they're putting a lot less focus on dating and relationships and whatnot, but you're still focusing on an aesthetic. And that is not, to me, the main component of friendships. It's just simply not. Now, again, to each their own, but focus on women who, at their core, they match you. And, you know, if you need them, they need you for whatever, anything, big things, small things, you know that you can call them. You know, there is nothing like having your best friend tell you that you can use them as your emergency contact person. You know, there's nothing like having a friend that says, hey, if you're a little too tired, you're a little too tipsy, just sleep in my guest room. There's nothing like having a friend that says, when you show up, just bring your fine self. Don't bring nothing. I'm doing this for you and y'all. You know, there's nothing like that. One thing that I also have had to really work on in order to get to where I'm at is I had to learn to really set and assert boundaries. And sometimes what that looks like is disappointing other people. And maybe even appearing to be a little bit selfish or self-centered. But you literally get one of you, and you get one life, and you get 24 hours in a day, and you don't know if the next 24 hours are going to be, you don't know what they're going to look like. You don't even know if you're going to be able to see them. And so I've had to learn, if I'm not feeling something, it is okay to say, not today, or not anymore, or not this time, because I only have so much bandwidth in a 24-hour period. I may only have so much bandwidth within an hour. And I feel that the most important thing that I can ever do is learn how to say, I don't have it to give. I'm not talking monetarily. I'm talking mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and maybe even physically. Okay? I had to let go of a friendship with someone because I felt that when I cut this person off romantically, you know, we were friends first, so we could be friends afterwards. And once I started noticing certain things that weren't happening, it wasn't a lack of noticing them before. It was that this person started to get a little too comfortable for me. And that's fine. But I knew when I started seeing a pattern, and it only took a couple of times, 2 or 3 times max, I said no. Because I know exactly what road this is going to lead to. And I have done entirely too much work on myself, and I have really worked on like self-preservation. And that's huge too, being a soft girl. Self-preservation. I've worked on that so diligently that I literally can't afford mentally or emotionally to have somebody come in and, you know, knock me off balance. So, you know, it is really hard for a lot of women, and it's been hard for me in the past to know when to let go, because I think so many of us fear being lonely. But you have to be able to sit in loneliness because it's very temporary. It's extremely temporary, and not, you know, feel bad that you're in that moment. You have to just kind of ride the wave, and I promise you it will pass. One of the best things that I've started doing for myself is if I am having a rough day and I'm feeling that way, I go do something for myself. I treat myself to a beautiful meal. I make a nice girly cocktail for myself. I run a bath. You know, I might go and buy myself something small, you know, whether it be like a new piece of decor for my home, or I say, you know what, I haven't eaten junk food this week. I'm going to go treat myself to something. And I promise you, now that's just me, you know, those are just things that I enjoy. But what I have learned is that, you know, loneliness is such a temporary feeling. And even if it lasts a few days or a few hours or a few weeks longer than what you would like, is such an important part of your growth and development. And it's such a huge part of getting to a level where when you are finally ready to start dating or you're finally ready to be in a relationship, your self-respect is so strong and your level of self-respect is so high that when somebody does start to do or say things that make you question them or, what's going on here, it's easy for you to either stop it right in its tracks or to walk away. Okay? Now, one other thing that I had some terrible struggles with was sitting still. I've spent the majority of my career hustling and moving around to different places, different states, having multiple jobs because I felt like if I don't have more than one stream of income, I'm going to be poor. I'm going to be broke. And there have been so many times over the years where there have been clear signs, clear indications that I needed to sit my tail down somewhere. But the fear of what might happen if I got stagnant overruled the fact that I needed to take a break. Okay? So last year I decided I was done moving all over the place. I was done going from state to state to work. And so I decided to continue working the same way, but just differently, which meant that I got to come home every day, pretty much. But I was still as happy as I was with the job and like taking care of the people that I was privileged to take care of. I still wished that this looked a little bit different for me. And so I told myself, I said, okay, this has got to come to an end soon, but let me just kind of ride this wave as long as I can. And so, that hustle identity lifestyle just wouldn't leave. I just couldn't let it go. And then I looked up and that contract ended and there was no renewal for it. And I was like, okay, I guess it is time for me to really sit down somewhere. And so what I learned is that when you sit still and you take care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and you ask your higher powers, your guardian angels, whomever and whatever you believe in, to send you opportunities that allow you to continue resting in that space. It may take a little bit more time than what you're used to it taking, and maybe even slightly more time than you're comfortable waiting for it, but it comes. It finds you. It literally finds you so much easier and so much faster than it would if you were to still be trying to chase after it. Okay. So, a lot of women, I think, believe that a soft girl life includes not having to work or not having to work very much, slower mornings, slower paced days, romance, things of that nature. And that is true. But you have to be willing to give yourself those things before you can go out here and expect for a man to do them. So, okay, I'll give you some examples. I love flowers. Like, I will get outside and sing. I will start singing Jodeci songs in the rain for some flowers, okay? Not for some flowers, but over some flowers. I love them that much. I keep them in my home. I have 2 vases that I keep filled with flowers, and I take care of them. I change the water out every few days. I put the plant food and all the things. I love them so much. So naturally, when a man comes around me, if he comes without them, then he's not for me, because that is a very small, minor requirement, but nevertheless, it is truly something that makes me extremely happy. And so nobody can come around me and say, well, how can you expect somebody to do certain things for you if you don't do them for yourself? I do. One other thing I've started gifting myself are slower starts to Monday mornings, especially and particularly if I have to get up and go to work. Now, I have to get up and go to work super early, but I do allow myself an extra 10 to 15 minutes to turn on my ocean lights and turn on my spa sounds and music, and I stretch and I pray and I meditate. And it really does give me the best start to my day, So find something that really makes you feel like if you were to take the extra time out to do that for yourself, even if it is just 10 or 15 minutes, like find something that really means a lot to you and be intentional with gifting yourself that, even if it is just one day a week. That's important. We're not here to be in a waiting room, to sit in a waiting room waiting for somebody to do these things for us. You have to do them for yourselves. One other thing I've started doing is I love beautiful restaurants. I love fine dining. So I will look for events. I will look for specials. And sometimes it doesn't have to be any of that. It can just be a weekend that I'm, a little bit more free. And I plan those kind of days for myself. I also feel staying off of social media has helped a lot too. I don't post very much anymore. Not on my stories. Never really have posted a lot on my feed. I see things and I share them with friends that are funny, that are cute, that are, somewhere kind of in the middle or maybe even kind of off to the left. And then that's it. I don't feed into what I see other people doing, because the truth of the matter is we don't know what other people are doing. We just know what they show us. So focus more on what you are doing and what you want to do rather than trying to emulate what you see other people doing. Okay, that is such a huge component with really tapping into that soft girl life. You have to curate it. You can't watch other people and believe that what you see they're doing or what you think that they have or whatever is what you want for yourself. You don't know the sacrifices that they're making or they've had to make, and you don't even know if that's real. Figure out who you are, figure out what you want, and, stop worrying so much about what other people say and think. I used to be like that. I used to worry way too much about other people's thoughts and what they'd have to say. But I'm going to tell you something. No matter what you do, they're going to talk anyway. They're going to talk for a few minutes. They may talk for a few days. They may talk endlessly because they ain't got shit else going on or anything else to do. Who cares? Screw them. While they're out here wasting their time worrying about you, you're out here doing your thing, getting yourself together, not focusing or worrying about what they may say or think because they have no life. You're out here living your life. Also, take time to invest in certain things for yourself. Invest in good quality clothing. Splurge a little bit at the grocery store. Buy that expensive bottle of perfume. Buy the expensive skincare, even if it's just one or two items. Take yourself out to beautiful restaurants. Buy yourself the flowers every other week. Do the things that you dream of somebody doing for you, for yourself. That way, when somebody does come along, they're just adding to your life. And if they go on about their business or they don't do those things, you can go on about yours. And you don't have to worry about them because they're literally not taking anything away. Okay? I think that it's really important as a woman that you really figure out what it is that you want for yourself, just in general, not in a man, not in a relationship, but just in general. Do you want to be able to travel more? Do you want to be able to, by the time you reach your 40s, work how you want, right? By the time you reach your 50s, you work when you want. You want to be able to have more autonomy over your life. That is literally what a soft girl life is. You have autonomy over your life. I said out loud one day, this was a while ago, I said, if I can land a job like this, and I can I can work it like this, I'll be extremely happy. And so when I was looking for a job, I was very specific about the things that would make me happy that you couldn't see. The things that would really help me with my mental space and my peace of mind, that would fill me up emotionally. Obviously, I got to worry about my finances too, but I've always been good with that. So that was kind of last on the list. And because I sat still, which wasn't entirely by choice, but because I sat still, everything that I asked my higher power and my guardian angels and the Mama Universe, everything I asked for, it literally landed in my lap. So, think it, believe it, receive it. That's huge. That's a real big thing. Now, if you really do want to be in a relationship, you want to date, again, there's nothing wrong with that. But you got to make sure that you know what you want. And you have to really stand 10 toes down with that. Because if you've been working hard on yourself and you've been doing everything that you can to really treat yourself good, you don't want to get to a place when you're dealing with somebody and you begin to settle. You're not settling in your own life. So you don't want to settle when it comes to the way you allow somebody to be in your life. Okay? Really take time. Really take time. Journal. Make videos and talk to yourself. Pray, meditate. And you don't have to pray to anything or anybody specific. That depends on where your beliefs are. Okay? But just really speak out loud what it is that you want and really believe that you deserve it. And move around in this world as a woman who knows that she deserves it. Okay? I promise you, this is where it's at. This is 110% where it's at. If I had have known, if somebody would have told me 15, 20 years ago that life could be this good without all that outside noise and chaos going on, I don't think I would have ever believed it. But now that I've lived a life where it's been very quiet and it's been very peaceful and it's been still, that doesn't mean that I'm just sitting in the house stagnant, doing nothing like a bump on the log. I'm booked and busy every weekend, okay? But I have total autonomy over my life. I make my own choices. I do what makes me happy. I say no to things that don't make me happy. I cut people off when they're draining or when they're disrespectful or they're tasteless and tacky. I don't have a problem with that. Don't be afraid to be mean. Don't be afraid to be assertive when it comes to your boundaries. Okay? This is your life. And as a woman, it is your job to monitor every aspect of your life so that you don't have parasites and leeches coming around you, just constantly sucking the life out of you. Okay? I'm not saying that everybody you meet, every man you meet, or whatever your sexual and dating preferences are, will be like that. But it's very easy for people to come into another person's life and see how enriched it is and not only be jealous of it, but do everything that they can to try to siphon that. So just take your time. Make time for yourself and be super intentional, be super disciplined, nourish your body the best way that you can. Nourish your mind. Love on those who love you and wipe your ass with the ones who don't. Okay? All right. That's all I got. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.